Chair, Juanita Gurley Giron.
Present.
Commissioner Ember Davis.
Here.
Commissioner David Romero.
Here.
Commissioner Vince Howell.
Here.
Commissioner Barbara Casey.
Here.
Commissioner David Ulibarri Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a quorum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Davis, would you do the moment of silence?
We just have a moment of silence for the community and everything that's been going on, and just have some peace. And that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
What is the pleasure of the commission?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the agenda.
Second. Who was second?
Second.
Okay. 2 seconds. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Howell.
Yes.
Commissioner Casey.
Yes.
Commissioner Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Davis, and I believe Commissioner Ulibarri. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from August the 21st, 2019.
What is the pleasure of the commission?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Casey.
I move approval of the minutes for the August 21st meeting with minor changes, corrections.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Howell.
Yes.
Commissioner Casey.
Yes.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey and a second by Commissioner Howell. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is public input. We do not have anybody signed up for public input at this time.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Housing Authority Finance Report by our Financial Specialist, Natasha Martinez.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, in front of you this evening, you have the finance report through July 30th, 31st, is the wrong one? 31st, 2019. Should it be through August? Yeah, this should be August. Sorry, I just looked at it now. Amended. Is that? Hold on 1 second. Sorry, let me do the math and make sure it's the right one, and I might have just messed up on the header. Yeah, no, this is it. Okay, so it should be through August, sorry, August 30th, 31st, I messed up on the header. So it is 2 months into the,
But the numbers are,
the numbers are correct, yes, and it is, the percentage is correct because it is 2 months into the fiscal year, but I put July instead of August. I do apologize for that. So it just should say August 31st. Sorry, that was completely my typographical error. So 2 months of the fiscal year have lapsed, August and July. As far as our dwelling rents go, we are right on schedule. Our year-to-date budget is $93,333,000. Our year-to-date actuals are $90,334,000. So we're a little bit, about $3,000 lower as far as our billing goes. In the past, as far as vacancies, anything like that, and when we have tenants that move out that we're paying like a flat rent, in opposed to tenants that are paying income-based, our rents and our billing fluctuate in that sense. Operating subsidy, we're a little bit over. We're at 20%. We've received 128,000. Well, we haven't received. We've accrued 128,770, and that's 20%. Our budget was 110,000. Our other income is at 2,733 for budget. We've received 9% of, or we've billed out 9% of that for 1,489. And then the transfers are our actual transfers, and we've received 2% of those. After the budget and everything are into locks, then I can draw down our operating budget from CFP. That usually happens around December. With our luck, it's been more like March and April, but hopefully we get it in December is when we like to get it for operations, and that's 20% of our capital fund that was awarded for that year. Our employee expenses are at $93,177. Budgeted, we have $110,430. Our operating expenses to date are $45,564, and we had budgeted year to date $139,799. Sorry, I apologize again for putting July instead of August on the header of the report. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioner. The next item on the agenda is the Housing Director's monthly report. Reporting for the month of August, the housing maintenance staff prepared 7 units for move-ins. There were 6 move-outs in the month of August. Maintenance is working hard on those unit turnarounds. They're also trying to maintain the property as far as cutting weeds and grass. It's been a little bit of a struggle. We have had quite a bit of move-outs, and so they're just trying to keep up with that. For housing management, the waiting list manager does continue daily to process applications and take applications. As of September the 10th, there were 67 applicants on the waiting list altogether. We had 48 on the 0 to 1 bedroom, 48 applicants that is, on the 0 to 1 bedroom. That is our highest waiting list. We had 9 people on our 2-bedroom waiting list, 6 people on our 3-bedroom waiting list, 3 people on our 4-bedroom, and we have 1 applicant on our 5-bedroom waiting list. The housing managers also continue with their lease enforcement, day-to-day operations, lease renewals, annual special inspections, and other day-to-day operations. The Housing Authority is still currently awaiting a court eviction in magistrate court that we are working with the city attorney on that.
Okay.
The housing staff also continues to attend monthly safety training provided by HR, and we are still offering the smoke-free cessation classes to our residents. At this time, that's all I have for the director's report.
I have a question. Could you explain to the commission what happened on the eviction?
The eviction has,
As much as you can without, of course.
the eviction has been filed. We have a court date in October, and we're trying to move it up.
What were the circumstances?
As a result of police activity.
I'm sorry?
Police activity or drug activity
Okay.
at the...
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Yes,
Councillor Howell?
thank you, Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Howell?
Ms. Padilla, to qualify for emergency housing, if a person is homeless and has stage 4 cancer, would that qualify?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, no, unfortunately, that does not. We don't have emergency housing. We have priorities on the waiting list, which are currently domestic violence is one of our priorities, which they would get preference on the waiting list. And the other one is natural disasters, such as a fire, flood, some sort of...
And cancer wouldn't qualify for
No, I'm sorry, it does not.
priority. My next comment is, I really liked the training seminar that we received from HUD that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I learned a lot. And from what I understand, that if our rating gets better, we would be able to apply for a lot more funds.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, yes, that's something that we have always, stressed that,
Right.
and that is important, yes.
So how are we doing with that? With our ratings?
Our ratings, I'll let Ms.
So,
Washington say that.
what it is our FAS score. We go over that as we get it every year. We usually get our FAS score. I think we get one in March, if I'm not mistaken, is usually when we receive it, February, March time. Usually right after our plan is submitted. The way that it goes is there's a point system. You get so many points for management, so many points for our physical needs assessment, or not physical needs assessment, but our REAC, our physical assessment. Then you get so many points for our financial assessment, and then you have your management score. A lot of times, every other aspect, we're standard performers except for our management score. Our management score, we are substandard. The reason we are substandard is because of our vacancy. At any given time throughout the year, the 251 units that we have that are occupiable, that we are allowed to occupy, that are not condemned or to that sense, boarded up, as well as the units that were ineligibly sold, we are allowed to have one vacancy each month, and that's it. So one family can move out, and that's all we can have at the end of the month in order to stay standard performers. And that being said, the only reason that we're only allowed that one is because all of those other units are still being counted against us, the boarded up units
Right.
as well as the ineligibly sold. So until right now we're allowed one. Before we got those last 2 units online, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if we had anything because our vacancy rating was already too high because of the boarded up units.
Have we made a decision on what we're going to do with the illegally sold houses?
So I would have to refer that to our attorney.
That's an issue that we can discuss. I believe there's some type of litigation that may be involved in that, and we can discuss that in executive session.
So that would have to be discussed in executive session.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other
But
questions?
I did enjoy the class, and we told that to Floyd and the other guys. Thank you.
Commissioner, anybody?
Barbara, I know you guys are working on the woods, but yeah, when time's coming in, so the woods are gonna die. I know that I've been kind of going to all of the housing areas, and they're pretty bad. There's areas that are bad, that are look bad closely. You know, do you have a plan, say, when the woods start they're dying, you could clean them up from all the areas of the housing?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we are trying, as we've said. We currently have about 13 vacancies next month, and that is our priority, is to get the units turned around. We're considering doing overtime for maintenance. We only have 4 maintenance guys. We have 251 units. With all those vacancies, that's really been our priority, is to get those vacancies. I mean, they have taken some time off to cut the weeds where they're really bad, but we're trying. They're trying as much as they can.
Okay, how many housing units are condemned?
Condemned,
'Cause she said it's
17.
17.
17 currently.
Not condemned.
Not condemned. I used that word and it was a horrible word to use. They're boarded up. They were gutted out. They were being rehabilitated at the time to be what's called a home ownership program was what was going on at that time. But currently, when they put a stop to that, they kind of left them as is. So those units, there's 17 of them, 5 of which you should see at our next meeting. The RFP is going out, or IFB, the invitation for bid. We've already taken out all of the asbestos from those units, any asbestos and mold that were in them, for our 5-unit de minimis.
But
So-
you're doing that, you're pulling all the asbestos out, or
We already have, well, the majority of them we already have.
are you planning to put them back to the rental or something?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, those are the 5 units that we've discussed, the de minimis project,
Yes.
that we are
The
allowed.
remaining
But you're talking about 17.
The remaining 12 we do plan, and what we do is we kind of try to accumulate money. That's what that betterments and additions on our GL is, that we just keep accumulating money until we can do it. It costs us about $70,000 to rehab those units because of the plumbing being outdated, that kind of
Possibly
stuff.
more than that.
It's sometimes a little bit more when you take the A&E, everything else into consideration.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Casey?
At the training that we had, which was very good, Mr. Duran explained that through the Section 18 of the HUD
Demo
handbook
dis-
guidelines, or whatever they're called, demolition and disposition process, that might be a way to sell the Macario Gonzalez property and then use the money from that property to fix the boarded up units.
So with that, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Madam Chair, Commissioners, with that, the demo dispo is actually what we're doing to help our vacancy rating. So Section 18 is actually what we're using for the 5-unit de minimis project that's underway, and that's why we did like the asbestos removal, and then now we're doing the IFB for the actual demolition of those 5 units. Right now, currently in our plan, the Macario is there as a replacement for those units that were sold ineligibly, that if we attained the money to rebuild, we have property to build on. If we sell that, then we have to come up with another plan to say where we are going to put the units that we put back online. So when we reacquire units, because when we reacquire the units for the ineligibly sold, we have to say where we're going to put them or where they're going to be, unless we're acquiring them from like a rental around town or something like that that we purchase, or building that we purchase to become a rental that has to pass all of the REACT standards. So right now, the way that we had it is that property was going to be used to actually, in our plans, our foreseen plans, is at the end, the city has property that could actually build the units if need be. And that's where we stood on that. And the demo dispo Section 18, we actually are utilizing that section, and we are doing the 5-unit de minimis to help our vacancy rating, to help our score, our FAS score, to work towards possibly getting additional grants and helping our substandard performing management score.
And the other question that came up that kind of caught my attention was that just look blank. Oh, on the fair market rent, when we redid the ACOP and we had the fair market rate rent that included Santa Fe rent, I asked at the training if why that was included, and we were told that it didn't have to be included, that it shouldn't be included.
Madam Chair,
And I
Commissioners?
further asked if we could redo that section of the ACOP to take the Santa Fe rent out of there and keep only the Las Vegas rent in there.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, we did not use Santa Fe County. We used San Miguel County, and
Okay.
that's what we
Because I
used.
think you had given us a handout that
Yes.
had Santa Fe rents on there too, so,
No, it was only San Miguel County.
okay.
And I can provide you with the information that we provided at that meeting, but yeah, we didn't use Santa Fe County.
Okay,
We just used San Miguel County.
just wanted to make sure because they were so high.
It is high,
Right.
and actually that report even indicated that San Miguel County is higher for some reason. I don't know what that reason is, but that is what we used.
Okay.
And I think the confusion with the Santa Fe County is that was the next closest county that we could have used.
Oh.
Had ours been higher than theirs, we would have used theirs, but theirs was higher than ours, so of course we're going to use ours. So
Right.
that's where I think you heard the Santa Fe mixed
Okay.
in there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
A clarification on Councilor Casey's. So, are we relegated to use that figures, those figures?
Madam Chair,
Or can we
Commissioners, yes.
establish our own?
What we can do is we can do a rate study on our own and get rentals throughout this. If we could find enough that meet the same criteria as ours to do a fair market study, to actually do a study ourselves and do it, then we could actually do a different rate. When I did call around to different private rentals, their rates exceeded our fair market rates. So the study would have basically been, it would have exceeded what MFA had already done. So the study that MFA did, they did the same thing that I would have done, just I was calling different entities, because you can't call anybody that is subsidized. So none of the, like, basically none of the apartment complexes you could call. So you'd have to call individual owners of properties that have rentals, and to find them and then call them. So we did look around and we did call a few of them, and their rates exceeded what the fair market rates were.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's continue.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is the Commissioner's report.
Okay, Commissioner Davis.
No, I don't have anything this time.
Okay, Commissioner Romero.
The only thing that I have to say is, that training was awesome. Basically, and I'm just giving my input, is I think it gave me more of a clarification as to the need for the transfer, just because of the opportunities, grants and stuff that they spoke about that we can. That's all I'll say.
Okay, Commissioner Casey.
Pretty much I already
Okay. Thank you
spoke
very
about
much.
what I wanted to talk about.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to, I left that meeting with the blank copies of forms that they handed out. And I'd like to come and visit you to help me, again, fill out those forms so I can more clearly understand the numbers that go along with those, that information. Okay, so I'd like to give you a call and set a time and date.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Commissioner Letty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item on the agenda is the executive session.
Okay, do we have need for executive session?
I was going to
We do, we have a few minutes because we do have to start the next meeting.
Right, I was going to ask, can that question that I have be discussed in executive session at the next meeting?
I don't have a problem with that, but we have to find out. Okay, yes.
Regarding the eviction?
No,
I'm sorry. Yes, it's fine with the attorney?
yeah, the pending litigation.
I would prefer that maybe we do it at the next council meeting. That way I can meet with staff and find out where we are with that.
Okay, so you can get updated.
So I can get updated, and that we do it within the executive session of the housing.
Oh, I have one more question.
On the next, in October.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll agree with that.
okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Casey.
Thank you, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. The San Miguel County is putting together a census count committee. And I've gone to a couple of their committee meetings. And I would like to know how the Housing Authority deals with the census to make sure that all of the people are counted.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I believe the census employees go to the homes individually. They don't really come to us. There's really no way for us to know what information they supply.
Okay, not anymore. The census counts are supposed to be done online, so you may have to provide computers and help people log on so that they can put their information in. And that starts March 13th. And so, just so that you have a heads up, and I'm sure that the county will be getting in touch with you. Diego Trujillo is in charge of the census count committee, and he'll be getting in touch with, I'm sure, the city manager and others here at the city. But that's something that you're going to have to plan for.
Okay.
They give people 4 different chances to fill in their census information online, and only if they don't do it, then they will send somebody to come to your home. But they're not going to have that many anymore like they used to. So, just
That's good to know. Thank
yeah,
you.
just so that you know.
Councilor, Commissioner Casey, I've actually been working with the census for the last 2 years on this. And I think our city manager is fully apprised of how we are handling this. I've been working with the lady who actually contacted me approximately 2 years ago. I worked with the Census Bureau years ago, for a few years. And we had certain protocols. I know that has adversely impacted the actual numbers here for federal funding in San Miguel County, which dropped by about 3,000. So they do the online. Maybe you can meet with your resident council, see if you can set up a certain time for your residents to go in and actually work on the online process. But they also mail out ballots. They can do that as well. And if they're not successful with that, then they do the door-to-door. So maybe that's something you can do, but I'm not certain if we need to actually purchase computers. I think that maybe one computer will suffice, or something that is available to the residents.
Thank you.
But I run it through resident council, absolutely.
I think encouraging people to
Complete
fill out
form.
the census forms would be wonderful, because only 62% of the population for San Miguel County filed their census forms last time, which meant a huge loss of money for this area.
Okay. Any other
Thank you, Madam
questions?
Chair, Commissioners. I can put that in our newsletter, so that, just to try and encourage the residents to fill them out and return them.
Okay. So no need for executive session. I need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Olivari Jr.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Olivari Jr. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.